Welcome to the Economist in Your Ear podcast.
Could the futuristic vision of flying cars and cargo drones not just be a reality, but maybe the next major engine of global economic growth?
That's the big question we're tackling today.
Yeah.
And, if you look above the industrial docks of Guangzhou right now,
Yeah.
it feels like science fiction is, well, it's lifting off. We're talking Blade Runner, the Jetsons kind of stuff becoming real.
Absolutely. And there's a specific term for this now, isn't there? The low-altitude economy.
Right. So what does that actually encompass?
It's basically all the commercial activity happening in the airspace below 1,000 meters. So think drones doing deliveries. That's big now.
Okay.
But also these people carrying flying cars, the eVTOLs, they're moving from just concepts to, well, actual commercial possibilities.
And then push for this in China, it seems very, very top down.
Oh, entirely. The leadership has this mission statement almost. Demand GDP from the sky. 上汤通kiao GDP.
Wow. Premier Li Qian mentioned this specifically last year, right? As a future growth engine?
He did. And that's fascinating because historically, China's low-altitude airspace was incredibly restricted, way more than, say, over Washington, D.C. or London.
You just didn't see many civilian helicopters over Beijing, for example.
Exactly. Very tight control. So this shift, opening it up for commercial use, it's a really significant policy change.
And they're moving fast. The NDRC, the state planning agency, they've set up a whole department just for this.
Yes, a dedicated department, which is unusually specific for a national ministry. They're coordinating everything, safety, business development, infrastructure, all of it.
That signals serious commitment. It's not just talk.
No, it speaks volumes. This is classic state industrial policy in action. They're not just waiting for the market, they're actively trying to shape it.
And shaping it with some pretty ambitious targets. I saw a figure about aiming for 100 eVTOL companies by 2030.
Yeah, 100 companies.
Is that realistic or more like aspirational goal setting?
I think it shows the level of state backing and belief. They essentially want to build a whole new aerospace ecosystem focused on this very specific tech in under a decade. Well, it's bold.
Okay, let's dig into that core technology then. eVTOL. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. It stands for Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing Aircraft.
Right.
So imagine a large drone, multi-rotor, all electric, but designed to carry passengers. And crucially, many of the leading Chinese models, like from a company called EHang, are actually uncrewed, pilotless.
Ying. They started back in 2014, I believe. They seem to be way ahead of the curve.
They really are, especially on the regulatory side. That's been their key move. EHang became the first company globally to get all the necessary certifications to fly passengers commercially in pilotless aircraft.
The first globally. That's huge.
It's a massive head start. Western companies are still navigating those regulatory hurdles.
I read something interesting about the EHang CEO, Hu Huasi. His motivation. He talked about traffic jams.
Yeah, the frustration of urban traffic. He has this analogy. He calls driving a car 0.5 dimensions.
0.5 dimensions. What does he mean by that?
Well, his point is, if you're stuck on a highway, you're not truly free to move. You can't just reverse or go sideways. Your mobility is really restricted by the road itself.
Ah, okay. Makes sense.
So his solution is what he calls true three-dimensional travel, using the sky.
And he gave that example of Beijing's second ring road, 6.4 kilometers direct distance.
Right. A short distance, but in rush hour, it can take over an hour by car.
Easily.
He believes his eVTOLs could do that trip in like 3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes. That's transformative if it works.
That's the core selling point, especially for business travel where time is literally money.
Okay, but this immediately brings up the big S word, safety. Pilotless aircraft carrying people. He argues autonomous is safer because machines fly the exact same route every time, supposedly with less than a meter of error. How convincing is that? Isn't the risk of a catastrophic software glitch, potentially worse than minor human error?
That's the fundamental debate with autonomy, isn't it? Human banks on precision, consistency, no fatigue. The machine does exactly what it's told, perfectly, every time.
Theoretically.
Theoretically. But we just had a reminder of the risks. 2 piloted flying cars made by XPeng actually collided at an air show recently. A pilot was injured.
Oof. Okay.
So even with humans involved, this is new tech. It needs incredibly rigorous testing and validation. And when you're scaling up this fast under government pressure, those safety reviews have to be absolutely bulletproof. There's no room for error.
Right. So eVTOLs are the exciting, maybe slightly scary future. But drone delivery. That's happening now.
Oh, yeah, drone delivery is much further along commercially. Companies like Meituan, the big e-commerce and food delivery giant, they're really pushing this.
Why did Meituan get into this so early, back in 2017?
Well, they saw the writing on the wall. Huge delivery demand in cities, plus constant challenges finding enough delivery riders, the guys on scooters. So automation seemed like a potential solution.
And Shenzhen seems to be the test bed for this. Makes sense, since DJI, the big drone maker, is based there.
Exactly. Shenzhen is ground zero. By the end of last year, they had something like 250 approved drone delivery routes.
250 routes.
And nearly 500 ground terminals, these little landing spots or kiosks. It's not just a trial anymore, it's part of the city's logistics fabric.
So you can actually see this. People ordering food?
Yeah, you see it in busy areas. Someone orders, say, bubble tea or noodles on the Meituan app. A drone flies in, lowers the package into a designated kiosk or a hatch on a building. Customer picks it up.
What's the reaction? Are people amazed, or is it just normal now?
What's striking is how normal it seems. People are mostly unfazed. The real value for them isn't the novelty, it's saving time.
Saving time.
If you've got, say, an hour and a half for lunch, waiting for a scooter rider who might get stuck in traffic eats into that. The drone avoids the road delays, so you get your food faster, maybe saving 20 minutes. That's valuable.
And Meituan makes this efficient using something called BVLOS.
Right. Beyond visual line of sight. That's the key to scaling the labor side.
How does that work?
Instead of one person flying one drone or one person riding one scooter, you have one remote pilot in a control center monitoring potentially a couple of dozen drones, maybe even more, all at the same time.
So you get much better labor efficiency per delivery.
Precisely. That helps offset the high initial tech investment. It changes the economics compared to the traditional model.
And their ambition is pretty huge, right?
Yeah.
10% of all deliveries by drone.
Within 5 to 10 years, yeah. And considering Meituan handles close to 100 million orders on some days,
That's nearly 10 million drone deliveries a day. That's mind-boggling scale.
it is an astounding goal. But, there are still kinks. The drone flight might be automated, but someone still has to physically go to the restaurant in the mall, pick up the food order, take it to the rooftop loading zone, and actually load it onto the drone.
Right. So the ground operation is still very labor-intensive. It's not fully automated end yet.
Not yet. That ground infrastructure piece is a major challenge for scaling up the whole low-altitude economy, actually.
Because even if you don't need to pour concrete for roads in the sky,
You still need the ground support, landing pads, command centers, dispatch facilities, air traffic control systems, essentially. It's a big build-out.
and the tech itself has limits. Range, for instance.
Yeah, current range is typically around 35 kilometers, maybe a bit more for some models. So right now, it's really for short hops within a city.
More like an air taxi than a regional commuter service.
Exactly. Which limits the immediate market and, frankly, keeps the cost relatively high for now. It's not mass transit yet.
So the government strategy involves these pilot cities, like Shenzhen, Hefei. They're trying to figure out the economics.
They're experimenting, seeing where it can be profitable, how to manage this new layer of autonomous air traffic safely.
But Hu from Mihang had that interesting point. He thinks less developed areas, like Jilin province up in the Rust Belt, might actually adopt this faster. That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but his logic is about starting fresh. He calls it a clean slate. Meaning, in places like Jilin, there are fewer existing rules and regulations to navigate, less entrenched infrastructure to worry about. Plus, those local governments are really hungry for any kind of new economic activity, especially with the property sector struggling.
So it might actually be easier to write the rulebook from scratch there, compared to trying to change things in a megatheory like Shanghai or Beijing.
That's his argument. Less baggage, more incentive to embrace something totally new.
Which brings us back full circle to the role of the state, the industrial policy angle. This really seems like China's top-down model in overdrive.
It absolutely is. Huge government support, pushing for rapid capacity building, streamlining regulations. It's very different from the often slower, market-led, and regulator-cautious approach you see in the West.
And it seems they've learned lessons from past industrial pushes, like with electric vehicles, where there was massive overcapacity.
Yes, the central government seems very aware of that risk this time. The NDRC explicitly used the phrase that this industry must develop according to the one country, one chessboard principle.
One country, one chessboard. So coordinating investment nationally.
Exactly. trying to prevent every single local government from just blindly jumping in, building redundant factories or landing pads, and creating another wasteful boom-bust cycle.
It's a delicate balance, though, isn't it? Central coordination versus market competition.
It really is. And that close relationship between the companies and the regulators, sure, it lets Meituan get a new drone route approved in days instead of months.
Which is incredibly fast.
Incredibly. But it does raise questions about maintaining truly independent safety oversight and letting market forces actually work efficiently. How do you balance state direction with, genuine innovation and risk assessment?
And there's a potential military angle here, too.
There are indications, yeah. Open source reports suggest the military has looked into using commercial delivery drones for logistical support in certain scenarios, transporting supplies.
So dual-use potential. That makes it even more strategic for the government.
Absolutely. It ticks both the economic growth box and the strategic capability box.
So looking at the big picture, China is leveraging its strengths here, aren't they? Strong manufacturing, especially in batteries and electronics.
Exactly. Even though their traditional large-scale aviation industry hasn't been a world leader, this new electric autonomous sector plays right into areas where they already dominate global supply chains.
And the speed is just phenomenal, driven by that policy push.
The speed and the scale of investment are creating capability very, very quickly.
And we're already seeing these Chinese companies looking abroad. The Middle East seems to be a key target.
They're expanding internationally already, taking the tech and the operational models elsewhere.
So the final thought, perhaps, given this pace, this state backing, this focus, are Chinese companies basically set to own this low-altitude economy globally?
Yeah.
Before Western competitors even get their regulations fully sorted out.
It's a very real possibility. They have the momentum, the industrial backing, and crucially, that early regulatory green light in their home market. It's definitely something to watch. A new economic frontier opening up, potentially dominated from the east.
Something for all of us to think about as we look up. Thanks for listening. Follow us for daily insights into world affairs. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.